This is going to be my review on the Tuition Centre Applied Maths Mock of 2025. Now, I did give my review on both the maths papers and rated them quite low, so I'm not sure how the applied maths paper is going to fare. Now, this was made by a different person, I believe. There's someone that does the maths papers, someone that does the applied maths paper, and then someone who does the physics paper. So, I know it might be different, but we'll just end up seeing. So, again, similar format. At least trying to keep it as close to the SEC as possible, with pretty much all the same details. Although, excuse me, as I note here, that these symbols here they must have come from somewhere else because they're not the standard symbols that the SEC uses, but they have their own methods of doing things. Okay, question one. Car on a straight track, 3 points, distance between them. Car. Yeah, fairly standard like linear motion question, but I wouldn't group two questions together. Like you would have part I as one part, and then part double I. You'd have a separate box for it, not two for the one box. Like that, I think that's just going to be a bit of a nightmare if the SEC ended up doing something like that, or they have to, juggle the marking scheme and make it slightly more complicated for two parts in the one box. Okay, bend of a racetrack, horizontal circle. It's not banked. Yeah, fine. Sure, the coefficient is 2/3. Okay. It seems to be if they're writing this in like Microsoft Word, they need to get better at Microsoft's equation editor. But if they're using some other proprietary software, then I wouldn't know. Oh, that's an unflattering angle of the car, but as an ever, there's the typical example of a car now being banked, so that's fine. Uh, it is often one of the trickier ones to annotate because there's a lot more forces going on when the car is banked and when there's friction in it. So you do end up getting a complicated formula if you choose to derive it. Uh, and yeah, that's just not enough space, I don't think. So I mean, obviously, I haven't gone through the questions. I'm just looking at them. But yeah, this is fairly complex question for the start of it, I think. So very dissimilar to both the maths papers in that their question ones were nice. The rest of the questions weren't that great. So let's hope it's completely inverted for this one. But I don't know, we'll see. Okay, question two, Dijkstra's algorithm question, A to J. Yeah, I mean, not really much I can complain about there. There's a lot more space for the Dijkstra's algorithm question than the circular motion question, which is a bit odd because Dijkstra's algorithm doesn't take that long, or not long, but a lot of space. You can do two separate columns if you really wish to. So bit of an odd choice there. The road E to G is closed due to roadworks. New shortest route. Yeah, I haven't looked at the marking scheme, but I imagine that's only worth like 5. Oh, there's more. Okay. Velocity of particle starts from rest, excuse me, is that. Use integration by parts to derive displacement. Yeah, students have no problem with that. Integration by parts is one of the more common integration techniques you'll see. You'll see a lot more by parts than by substitution, definitely. Okay, right. Question 3 now. Stuff about Hooke's law and work. It came up in the sample paper, so we're probably expecting it soon. And energy. Yeah. Again, it's a case of students are going to have no problem with that. But in terms of the elastic potential energy, would like I'd assume you'd need to include that anyway, which I don't think a lot of students would have known, but it should be easy to derive. It's just k over 2 times delta x squared, or yeah, the change squared in quantity. So okay, it's definitely doable. It just might be slightly tricky. Uh, oh, the classic shooting an apple off of someone's head situation. Okay, that's just standard projectiles trajectory equation. So no issue there, I wouldn't imagine. Okay, more stuff. Archimedes on the horizontal ground for the angle. Arrowhead. Yeah, standard derivation. You probably would have done that plenty of times. It came up in a bunch of past papers before. And greatest distance. Yeah. Okay. So for once, we have a question that's not entirely like terrible. Now, in terms of how the marks are distributed, I have no idea. But considering there's 5 parts, 10 for each. I wouldn't imagine 10 for each. You know, some of these you could do in like 2 lines, so I wouldn't imagine that there's 10 for like that. That's just a formula, the x tan theta formula. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Right, question 4. More conservation of energy stuff, it seems. Alright. Angle the swing makes the vertical points the path. Given that the swing does not cross the horizontal in its motion. Okay. Just trying to decipher what that can mean. Like this is very much a vertical circular motion question. The vertical one. The child reaches the highest point in a path given that the swing does not cross the horizontal in its motion. Okay. I'll figure it later, but that just seems a bit odd wording. Oh, okay. Yeah. Everyone just wants to do that. Go full loop around the swing. What needs to be the just a full loop? That is just a formula, by the way. It happens to be that the minimum formula is 7 times the square root of the radius. So if you ended up getting something like that, you got a full marks 100% because that is just a formula, or at least at the base of the loop, the speed is 7 times the square root of the radius of rotation. Okay. Okay, and throwing collision into thereafter. Okay, that's a bit of an odd choice, but as ever. Threesome suits. That's fine. Yeah, I mean, I again, fixing the formatting here wouldn't be a bad idea. But again, not too bad of a question. BNC coalesce result the collision. See, the students should know what this word means. Right, it just means to join together. But I have had experience in the past with those students not actually knowing what this word meant at all. So oftentimes it's probably best just to clarify things instead of just having that word there. Usually they will use join together or stick together or combine into one mass is probably just like the better way of phrasing it instead of saying coalesce. But I don't know, you do you. Okay, question 5. We have a first order difference equation. Okay. Fine. Explaining the context, that difference equation. Okay, fine. I mean, explaining a difference equation, like, not the best approach. It's best to ask students to actually go ahead and derive it instead of just explaining it. State an assumption that was to be made. Yeah. I mean, if students are okay with financial maths, they can do that. Or just say, you know, no other money gets added into the account by that point. The value of our records that don't have enough money to yeah, that's fine, I think. It's an okay first order difference equation. It's fairly straightforward. Oh, okay, maybe never mind. Throwing a dynamic programming into here instead. Okay, sure. In blocks of €900, and in how many blocks he wants. Okay. So that's is that all you get? That's like not enough space for dynamic programming. The SEC gave you like a page and a half, and here they're giving you like 2/3 of a page. All the DP stuff that I do or have done when I've been marking things has always been a page and a half. So I'm not sure why they're only giving you 2/3 of a page. Like, I know they have extra pages, but it's a bit of a pain to sort of flick through the pages trying to track your OVDs or whatever, and especially declare your answer on the right steps or whatever. So odd choice again. I would probably include another page, and then maybe adjust the marking scheme and add a theory question or something as to why maybe Dijkstra's isn't a good idea there. Although Dijkstra's is actually already used, so maybe, I don't know, why not Prims or something? I don't know, just something extra, because 2/3 of a page is not enough. Right. Now, I did actually have a look at the errata here. that, yeah, that is meant to be a capital P, not just a lowercase p. Because on some of them, there's this little errata that I just want to review before going through the exam papers. And again, they just need to know how to use the equation editors. I might make a video on that at some point. So, I mean, there's a standard enough differential equations. I'm not sure where the cosine is there, but... Oh, I guess it kind of fluctuates, I guess. What's going on there? Okay, I'm not sure why it froze there for a second. Like, the top half of all the pages have just disappeared. Okay. Using part A. Okay, that's just using trig stuff. And then to draw a graph. Partial fractions. Okay. Usually they give you a partial fraction decomposition, though. So it's very strange that they give you a partial fraction thing to solve. Like, it's not too hard of a thing. Like, you should have done partial fractions by this point. You just try to get a common denominator, and then you pick, say, p equals 0, and then p equals a half. Again, I assume it's meant to be a capital P, just to get that. But students that haven't gone through that, you know, they might not fare that great. And then use that result in another differential equation, which, again, I assume there's ECF here. Like, they're not going to be even and have you lose marks because you screwed up a partial fractions thing. At least I'd imagine so. But, I mean, solving this isn't going to be too bad. It's just a partial fractions thing, as I said. And they give you a lot more space for this one for whatever reason than the DP. Okay. Find least and greatest values of P. Yeah, that's just, again, max and mins of... Wait, is that two part E's? That's two part E's. What are they doing? That's a part E and that's a part E. Why is there no part F? That's just... Okay, they really need to get their game together. Oh, okay, right. They just stole a question. Okay. Alright. They have a lot of publicity with regards to these exam papers, and they steal questions. Okay, I'm very disappointed in this exam already. Like... Now, I can tell that it's stolen, not for the fact that I know every single applied maths question ever asked, but for the fact that it's this format here doesn't fit the rest of it. Like, you can see clearly the font's different, and everything's different. And the fact that they have all this typographical stuff correct. So, I'm really not sure what's going on. I could probably reverse image search and go through the exam archive from Maynooth, unless this is from a mock from like 1912 or something. Well, not really, because that was when the kilograms were used over here. But, you know, one of the mocks from ages and ages ago. But still, it's really immoral just to use questions from other people. Especially with the amount of variations that you can have with the Newton's Laws questions. So, like, why even bother doing that? Like, and again, the change in font kind of gives it away here. Oh, I'm very disappointed. And then there's matrix stuff again. Okay, so prim stuff. Okay. Again, a lot of the questions. Now, I know that the SEC are doing this in a minute, but they seem just so disconnected. Usually, the SEC, there's like a big question, and then there's a tiny question. But here, they seem to be two equally timed questions. So again, very terrible in their part. But anyways, oblique collisions. I feel like I've seen a question exactly like this before, where it comes at an angle and gets deflected at an angle of 60 degrees. I feel like this is 2018 or 2017, or at least it's something very similar, because a lot of these questions I feel like I've seen before. Okay, I mean that's the question I haven't seen before, so that's fine. Single body collisions hasn't come up since I think 2012. I think involving a sphere hitting on things of paper, which was a very cool question. But yeah, it's nice to get at least some single body stuff there, so that's okay. Another player makes a shot. Again, right, okay. I need to teach people how to use the equation editor, because like if you really want to be like a respected institution of making so-called good exam papers, learn how to use the Microsoft Word equation editors, and especially with fractions as well. I've seen it before. They've used it, and they've done all the LaTeX stuff. But then this as well. I mean, seriously, no units either. Wow. Okay. Oh, you actually got to be kidding me. Like, you're actually like, this is. I think this is just a joke or something at the end of it, because this is a screenshot. When you search up drag coefficient on Wikipedia, you get this exact thing. Now, I know because I've had to help students in the past with some of the projects before, and this was a common equation that was used. So again, why not just type it in? I genuinely don't understand. I'm gonna have to have some words here. Oh, I really dislike this exam so much in terms of its format and the variety of questions. Like, wow, it's not even difficult, it's just annoying. But okay, we're on some activity networks. That's okay. It's good that they've done activity on Arc though. Filling in certain night times, yeah, fine, I guess. Critical paths, minimum time, the standard questions float. Lower bound of workers, that's fine. That's just the floor function of total time over critical time. So that's just another formula. And then a Gantt chart, which for some reason the 0 is down here. What's the 0 doing down here? Okay, that's just a worker scheduling chart, so that's okay. Right, final one. Jesus Christ. Question 10. An esports team, investors in multi-blocks. Okay, good. Nice question to include. In ensuring people know when to use difference and differential equations. That's good. That's, yeah, creating a second order difference equation. Yeah, okay. So we might be on the up at the end bit here. Another difference equation. Yeah, okay. I presume that factorizes nicely. It's not going to give you like surds or anything. So that the would be that nearest whole number. Yeah. Okay question. And then some inhomogeneous. Okay, so that's just the exact same, but with the test function added onto the end of it. Okay, right. And they only give you 2 extra pages. Oh, Lord. Right. I have a lot to say about this exam. It, like, first of all, taking questions is one thing. But, like, not even trying to hide it is another thing. Like, physically copying stuff from the internet and putting it in an exam and trying to pass it off as a good exam. It's not the way to go. Especially considering as well that the person who wrote this, as far as I remember, is head of IAMTA, International Applied Mathematics Teachers Association, as far as I know. I could be incorrect, but that's as far as I can remember. So, from that high level, I would think just like no, I wouldn't think that they wrote it. And if they did, they need to learn how to use a lot of the equation editor stuff. Now, in terms of the questions themselves, varied, yes, could be improved, definitely. There's definitely some tricky bits in it, but it seemed very sort of one difficulty throughout. There should be sort of variation of difficulty between questions, so you should have some easy stuff and some hard stuff. If you have all questions with the one difficulty, that's really not going to help in the long run. So you have to have some easy questions to get started and then some harder ones. I think definitely question 10 was a nice one for the fact that you know, all the questions should be like this, where you sort of get eased into it. You know, they give you a couple of things, ask you to do some calculations, then you get to do something a bit harder. Whereas, say in question 1, it kind of threw you in the deep end with finding an angle, which is normally the hardest thing that they can ask you to do, is to find values of angles. So that's my review on the paper. I think as a score, if I give the maths paper 1 a 4 and the maths paper 2 a 5, I would give this probably a bit of 4 as well. Like, there's definitely a lot of room for improvement here.